This is Outdoor Life and Liberty. It is January 1st, 2025. Happy New Year, everyone. This is episode 15. We've got a lot to cover. News, and most of it not great. We normally, of course, do a gear review as well. That's going to be skipped this time in an effort to keep the video here to a reasonable length of time. Of course, we'll start right in on some news. Topmost, of course, has to be the terrible terrorist event that occurred in New Orleans on today, New Year's Day, in the wee hours of the morning, like 3 o'clock this morning. I'm sure most of you have probably heard about that by now. Radical Islamic jihadist who was radicalized while in the United States Army and is a native-born United States citizen, perpetrated an act, but he was helped by several people. And there's some interesting twists to this, which implicate a few other things. And I'll first off start right off by saying, and of course, this is an opinion piece. So what I'm saying is my opinion. And if you've watched me for any length of time, you know I'm not shy about that. So this is just another example of blood on the hands of President Joe Biden. It's probably the worst possible news that could happen as he's exiting the office. He's pardoned hardened criminals, murderers, rapists. He's allowed people to infiltrate our borders. We now have terrorist cells within the United States, 15 million or so, many of whom are military-aged men who are not just directly doing acts of terrorism, but as in this case, acting to radicalize impressionable, weak-minded Americans to their cause. This is a direct result of the soft stance that Joe Biden has taken and really kind of incoherent, senile way he's handled his government. He was obviously senile before he was even elected. How he made it through 4 years is the real wonder and question. And it was shown today when he was doing his press conference, and at one point kind of lost track of what he was saying. And he was reading the teleprompter, and at one point he just stops looking at the camera for about this long, and then says something to the effect of, well, you know. And that's it. I mean, he's gone in the head, and he's been gone in the head for some time. Anybody who's familiar with Alzheimer's knows that's a slow progressive disease, and it was pretty obvious when he ran for president and won that he was already senile. So not surprising. It's also a complete failure of our FBI and counterterrorism, national security folks, Christopher Wray and Mayorkas and uh, Merrick Garland at the head of all that. It's a joke. They don't know what they're doing. They've been anti-American. They're absolutely embarrassing that these people were in the positions that they were in, and it goes from top to bottom. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of pruning that has to be done. We cannot get Kash Patel in as the FBI director soon enough. Well, anyways, let's jump into the actual news of what we know so far. Authorities found two confirmed improvised explosive devices in and around the French Quarter Wednesday morning after a man plowed through a crowd on Bourbon Street, killing 15 and injuring dozens more, according to a law enforcement source with knowledge of the investigation. About 30 minutes after police say 42-year-old Samsud Din Jabbar slammed a pickup truck into the crowd at 3:15 a.m., police found a homemade bomb near police cars parked at Orleans and Bourbon Streets. The device was a pipe bomb with nails and plastic explosives concealed inside of an ice chest, the source said. Police have since, during the when he plowed through everybody and wrecked into that piece of equipment, construction equipment, they shot and killed Jabbar, who in the process did shoot and wound two New Orleans police departments, police officers before he was killed. And about an hour later, another suspicious item was found near the shops at JAX Brewery on Decatur Street. Investigators later confirmed that was not a bomb. But a second bomb was later found in the 600 block of Bourbon Street. Investigators were also looking into a purple suitcase at North Rampart Street and Esplanade Avenue, according to the source. The remote control that controlled two of the bombs that were found was located inside of Jabbar's truck, according to the same source. Additional explosive materials were also inside the truck, including two mason jars with clear explosive material. Surveillance footage identified a second vehicle registered to the same owner as the Ford F-150 that ran into the crowd Wednesday morning and was observed following the suspect's pickup truck. Footage captured three men and one woman placing the first device at Orleans and Bourbon Streets and then tracked them to additional locations. State police, SWAT, and FBI investigators went to the vehicle's registered owner's address in Harvey, which is Texas, but didn't find anything, according to the source. Detectives then relocated to Manville Street address, which is linked to the suspect, to discover it was on fire when they got there. The New Orleans Fire Department said the fire was arson and that bomb making material was present at that location. That's the one on Manderville Street. Both vehicles involved have a history of multiple border crossings into Mexico at Eagle Pass and Brownsville points of entry, according to the source. It's also broken since then. Well, we'll get to this in a little bit. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there's some really interesting coincidences that show this was a terrorist cell that was well coordinated and much more than the lone wolf. In fact, if you watch, an FBI spokesperson with a straight face said, "Well, this isn't terrorism. We're investigating it as like just a very determined assault." Okay, so when you have a guy who plows through double digits of people, killing more than 10 that have bombs in his truck, detonators for other bombs, has a gun and starts shooting people, and you don't classify that as some sort of terrorist. I mean, it was almost laughable. The lies are just has gotten that bad. So another thing the FBI needs to clean up. Unfortunately, I used to be of the opinion it was just the administrative, but it looks like many people on the street level were DEI hires and probably need to be purged for people who are actually competent to do law enforcement work. So moving on from them, not only did the FBI get it wrong again, when President Biden was talking, as I mentioned, he was reading a teleprompter and couldn't even finish his sentence. You can't make this stuff up. Now, in light of back-to-back casualty incidents involving trucks, terrorism experts are warning of an increase in vehicle-related attacks due to their low cost and high body count, USA Today reported on Wednesday. As you know, as we mentioned, Samsud Din Jabbar, 42 years old, rammed the pickup truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, which killed at least 15 people and injured dozens of others before being shot to death by the police, according to authorities. Later in that same day, and this was on the news too, if you were paying attention, a Tulsa-made Cybertruck exploded outside the entrance to the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas, which killed the driver, so the terrorist, and injured several others. I believe the count last was 7. It says in December, a Saudi psychiatrist deliberately drove a rented BMW SUV through a German Christmas market, killing 5 and injuring more than 200. The accessibility of vehicles makes this a widespread threat for any gathering of people, whether for a New Year's celebration or just a normal weekend on Bourbon Street, said Ryan Hauser, a terrorism and mass casualty attack researcher and consultant who wrote a 2022 study on such attacks. Hauser said vehicles are appealing simply because they're effective. They can kill a large number of people quickly, making it hard for police to respond. ISIS has openly called for the use of these vehicles to attack, quote, the disbelieving American, unquote, citing their low cost and availability. If you recall in 2016, in the online ISIS magazine, it's believed that's pronounced Ramaya. It's I don't pronounce Middle Eastern language words very well. The terror group specified the ideal make, model, weight, and speed a car would need to inflict mass casualties and encourage attacks at large outdoor conventions and celebrations, pedestrian congested streets, outdoor markets, festivals, parades, and political rallies. Quote, vehicle ramming attacks have the ability to further democratize terrorism as a successful attack that merely requires a willingness to kill and that can be completed by only one actor, unquote. He concluded in his study. The increased prevalence of outdoor activities and gatherings in the post COVID-19 world will further expose large numbers of people to potential vulnerabilities within security that place them at risk of being a victim of vehicle-based terrorism. It says in 2016, vehicle attacks internationally represented half of all terrorist-related deaths that year, according to one researcher's analysis of the open source global terrorism database. That was the same year as the deadliest vehicle attack to date when Mohammed, I believe his last name was Bolel, killed 86 and injured 434 in Nice, France. Maybe that's pronounced Nice, and I don't speak French. Hauser added that the appeal of using automobiles extends beyond the physical trauma into the psychological. A single vehicle has the potential to cause a large mass casualty incident that overwhelms local and mutual aid resources, he wrote in his analysis. Additionally, the traumatic injuries that result from a vehicle ramming incident have the potential to overwhelm the medical capabilities of emergency and operating rooms nearby. So I will go a little farther here with this same story. So Representative Beth Van Doon, a Republican from Texas, told Newsmax on Wednesday that the FBI has, quote, been ignoring these radicalized Islamicists in our country, and we have no idea how many cells there are, unquote. Earlier Wednesday, Samsud-din Jabbar rammed his truck into the crowd at Bourbon Street, as we had said, and then he was shot to death. An Islamic State flag was found on the vehicle's trailer hitch. The FBI is investigating the evidence as a potential link to an act of terrorism that is state-sponsored. Van Doon said, as the facts come out, sounds like it's more than just a lone wolf attack. They were saying that you have people who are looking at not only who had rented the truck, but there were three men and a woman who they'd got video of putting on explosive devices in the truck that looks like it was a cell, Van Doon said during an appearance on the Chris Salcedo show. The congresswoman said it appears the FBI was not prepared for this kind of attack, as the Bureau had its priorities elsewhere. She added that the new administration will fix what's broken. They, meaning the FBI, have been more focused on DEI initiatives. They've been more focused on cracking down again on parents who are interested in their kids' future than they are about legitimate terrorist activity in our country. This is something to be concerned about, and I'm very excited about nominated FBI Director Kash Patel coming in, taking control of the FBI, and getting that kind of radicalization out of the FBI. Unquote. I couldn't agree more. That they prosecuted and actually declared, didn't prosecute. They had declared as terrorists and on the threat list parents in Virginia who were not in agreement with the school board showing pornographic material to their 5 and 6-year-olds were put on a terrorist list. Yet the FBI and the NSA and the entire intelligence community is unable to stop these cells that are actually killing American people and in large numbers. Is deplorable. It's inexplicable and can only be explained by they must all be DEI hires. And anyone who can't meet certain performance specs, they need to do a review, a performance, physical agility testing, competency testing, and they need to clean house. And even if that means getting rid of half of the FBI, they need to do it, and they need to do it now. If they're going to get any sort of respect and any sort of credibility with the American people again, they need to clean house and rebuild. And it's not like, well, what would we do while we're in the process of rebuilding? Because obviously when given all the intel signals that have been coming out that this kind of event was about to happen, they didn't do anything. Once again, police prove that they're really good at probably coming in after the fact and solving um, crimes, but absolutely terrible at preventing them, i.e., protecting you and I. They just can't, which is why most of us should go around are armed and ready to do that job ourselves because we can't count on the government, um, local or state or federal, to protect you. It's just not going to happen. Now, this from OANN, one person was killed. This is relating to that other incident. One person was killed while seven others were injured after a Tesla Cybertruck exploded in front of President-elect Donald Trump's Las Vegas hotel on New Year's Day. Video footage shows the Cybertruck appearing to blow up at about 9 a.m. on Wednesday, with the driver inside pronounced dead, according to Las Vegas Metropolitan Police and Clark County Fire Department officials. There is one deceased individual in the Cybertruck, and I don't know whether it's a male or female, stated Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Sheriff Ken Mayhill. Now that's interesting because that means their body was so badly damaged, they can't really tell. But apparently that suicide bomber, that radical Islamic terrorist, planned to kill a lot of other people. The only person he actually succeeded in killing was himself. And if those are the kind of plans they're going to execute, I say keep doing those in large numbers. But unfortunately, seven other people were injured, which I would not advocate for. At this time, we're investigating a number of leads, and I'm not prepared to release any of that information to you just yet. I can tell you that there are seven victims right now that sustained injuries from the explosion. He continued, going on to add that the injuries are minor. Obviously, a Cybertruck, the Trump Hotel, there's lots of questions that we have to answer as we move forward with that, he added. Trump ally and Tesla founder Elon Musk soon reported about the incident, announcing that it appears to be likely an act of terrorism. Musk continued, saying that the exploding Cybertruck had been rented from Turo, the same company responsible for providing the rental truck to the now deceased driver in the New Year's Day French Quarter terrorist attack, prompting Musk to ponder if the two incidents could be linked in some way. So, in other words, folks, where they rented that truck that killed all those people in New Orleans at 3 o'clock in the morning is the same company that they rented this Tesla Cybertruck to do the bomb exploding in Las Vegas. But they're saying they're not sure if there's some connection. I mean, how stupid can you get? Or probably the better question, and more importantly, how stupid do they think the American people are? One thing that I will say that I'm going to make a statement here, and as most of you know, I have a background in another life of law enforcement, and I can tell you that investigators do not believe in coincidences. There's no such thing, and that is a true philosophy when it comes to investigating crimes. And that's just asking a little much. It's kind of like saying, never mind, disregard that person standing behind the curtain, right? And once you've already seen them. So to say that they're wondering if they could be linked is kind of laughable understatement. The same company, and they would take them and drive thousands of miles in different directions to different states on the same day to do the same type of terrorist activity, but say they wonder if it's connected. You'd have to expect us to be an idiot to not say it's obviously connected and they better find out what that connection is. Musk also confirmed that the explosion was not due to any malfunction in the vehicle. We have now confirmed that the explosion was caused by either very large fireworks and or a bomb carried in the bed of the rented Cybertruck and is unrelated to the vehicle itself, Musk added. All vehicle telemetry was positive at the time of the explosion. Law enforcement officials have also confirmed they are investigating the explosion as a possible terrorist attack, according to ABC News. This was not a lithium battery blast, an unnamed official said, according to ABC News. The unnamed official added the Cybertruck was carrying a load of fireworks-style mortars and they are now working to determine a possible motive. Meanwhile, President-elect's son, Eric Trump, responded to the incident, thanking first responders for swiftly responding to the scene. Earlier today, a reported electric vehicle fire occurred in the portcullis of the Trump Las Vegas hotel. The safety and well being of our guests and staff remain our top priority. We extend our heartfelt gratitude for the Las Vegas Fire Department and local law enforcement for their swift response and professionalism, Eric Trump wrote. But again, they're investigating it as a possible terrorist attack. Okay, it was kind of a one that didn't go off as planned, obviously, but yet when you look at that, it had explosives in it, and that the driver drove to something associated with Trump, and in a car made by Tesla, which is kind of interesting, and was rented from the same company that rented the pickup truck that same day plowed through the crowd, you know, states away in New Orleans, uh, and killed people, and to say that there it might be a terrorist connection or a terrorist threat. I mean, come on, guys, seriously, how stupid are you to think that we're that stupid? Anyway, so my little section today on uncommon sense. We're going to talk a little bit about some things that I think, and it's going to be very short because I'm not going to berate this. But going back a number of years, basically to Barack Obama's presidency, the term radical Islamic terrorist and radical Islamic terrorism was very much poo-pooed. They thought it was insulting to the religion and that it should not be used. In fact, Kamala Harris, in a speech she made in September, that's all over YouTube, you can find it yourself, she said that the term radical Islamic terrorism should be abolished because they are the victims. Because they are the victim. Gee, how does that sound today? This is just another reason that we have to thank God Almighty that she is not going to be president of the United States. She is never going to be president of the United States. She is not competent to put together a sentence. She's certainly not competent to run the country. She is just a train wreck. She said she also might run for governor. I think a state like California would well deserve her. So maybe she'll make governor of California, but I think her federal government aspirations will be shot down. Can you imagine that word salad, babbling, cackling woman trying to have a debate against a J.D. Vance? That would be more funny and probably more painful for the Democrats than the Biden versus Trump was. So if they run her, we're in luck. We're guaranteeing ourselves another 8 years in the White House for the conservative side. But I have a feeling, even though I don't necessarily agree with anything of their politics, most of the Democrats are going to be smarter than letting her run for a fourth time for president of the United States. So that's my uncommon sense. We've got to quit dropping these stigmatisms about calling a spade, right? So the problem here is radical Islamic terrorism. They're not radical Christian terrorists doing this. They're not radical Buddhist terrorists doing this. They're not Taoists doing this. They're not pagans doing this. It's radical Islamic terrorism from states like ISIS, sponsors like ISIS, which, by the way, if you don't know what ISIS means, and I was surprised some of my listeners did not, that means Islamic State in Syria. So it's a radical Islamic terrorist group. It's in their name. But they don't want us to call them that. So it's time for common sense. I mean, if nothing else, this mandate of Trump and the huge gap by which he beat the crap out of the Democrat Kamala Harris is a mandate from the American people. That's done, folks. I hate to tell you, we have now officially put woke to bed. 2025 will be the year woke is put to bed. It's ended. It's over. You need to get over it and find some other political way to attack and demoralize and character assassinate your opponents since obviously trying to win an argument on the merits is something you're unable to do. Another way to put that is, I would engage with my very, very liberal friends in a battle of wits. However, I won't because I feel it undignified to fight those who are unarmed. Let that one sink in. We're going to go to our humor section now. Again, brought to you by our folks at Babylon Bee. This one is kind of cool and very appropriate for the first of the year. It's a little bit longer than most, but I think you'll appreciate it. So it says, "A new year is upon us, with the sun setting on the darkness and despair that once was hope and rising again like the morning sun," or something like that. What is in store for the world in 2025? We at Babylon Bee know exactly what's coming because we are prophets. And here's what you can expect. January 19th, Kamala Harris becomes the first female president after Joe Biden passes away peacefully in his sleep underneath Kamala Harris's pillow. January 20th, Donald J. Trump is sworn in as president, instantly making America great again and killing billions of people around the globe. On January 21st, Nancy Pelosi files new articles of impeachment against Trump. February 3rd, the New York Times runs a shocking article exposing how Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, have been eating people's pets. On February 12th, Catholics get really mad at the Babylon Bee. On February 20th, Vice President J.D. Vance opens the first of many government birthing camps for women. On March 7th, something really important happens in Europe. No one in America cares. On March 17th, the last three remaining Irishmen in Ireland celebrate St. Patrick's Day. March 23rd, Catholics get really mad at the Babylon Bee. March 31st, RFK Jr. orders all future vaccines to be tested on Dr. Anthony Fauci. April 1st, in a hilarious April Fool's Day prank, Trump invades Greenland. On April 18th, a bloodied Trump emerges from the cave of time, informing the world he has defeated the Cocatron, leader of the Grand Clock Army, ending daylight savings time once and for all. On April 21st, Hunter Biden announces he has quit using cocaine. On April 28th, Hunter Biden announces he has quit using cocaine. On May 1st, the Chicago White Sox are eliminated from playoff contention. On May 4th, Trump declares Star Wars Day a national holiday and signs an executive order erasing the sequel trilogy from the canon. On May 15th, SpaceX successfully lands a rocket on Mars and releases a robot that engraves the word boobs on the planet's surface. On May 31st, Disney executives weep after finding they have no more intellectual properties to destroy. On June 12th, Ellen DeGeneres gets caught trying to cross the Rio Grande to sneak back into the U.S. On June 20th, congressional Democrats propose a bill to erect a statue of beloved national hero Luigi Mangione in the Capitol Rotunda. On June 24th, Catholics get really mad at the Babylon Bee. On June 29th, California is swallowed up by overgrown lawns after a mass deportation of Mexican landscapers. July 9th, concerns rise over climate change once again as it starts getting pretty hot outside. On July 11th, millions of moviegoers flocked to theaters to see a new Superman movie starring someone who isn't nearly as cool as Henry Cavill. On the 19th of July, the Babylon Bee gets banned from Blue Sky and forcing Elon Musk to purchase that platform for $37. Yeah, it's pretty good. On July 26th, after weeks of intensely polite protest, Canadian officials joined the United States as the 51st state. On August 5th, Buc-ee's opens its first location on the moon. On August 10th, Mitch McConnell starts giving a speech on the Senate floor. On August 16th, Mitch McConnell resumes his speech on the Senate floor after a 6-day pause. On August 25th, California finishes counting ballots from the 2024 election. On September 2nd, Arizona finishes counting ballots from the 2020 election. On September 8th, ribbon cutting ceremony to open Joe Biden Presidential Law Library and Nursing Home Facility. On September 16th, Buck East opens a second moon location due to the heavy traffic at the first moon location. On September 25th, all animal life on Earth is extinguished after too many people joined the carnivore diet. On November 5th, Americans gather to celebrate the anniversary of Kamala Harris's defeat. On November 13th, Catholics get really mad at the Babylon Bee. On November 22nd, Trump releases secret JFK files revealing that President Kennedy was killed by seed oils. On November 27th, Trump orders mass incarceration of people who served tofuki for Thanksgiving dinner. On December 6th, all the celebrities who announced they were leaving X in 2025 announced they will leave X in 2026. On December 22nd, the U.S. Postal Service begins delivering packages from Christmas 2024. On December 25th, conservatives continue the annual holiday tradition of ripping each other to shreds on social media. On December 31st, scientists conclude yet another year of intense research without finding anyone who has enjoyed Amazon's rings of power. Also, the Catholics get really mad at the Babylon Bee. So, what are you looking forward to most in 25, and what are your predictions? Please post them at our email address. So, we'll go over that now. We have outdoorlifeandliberty@gmail.com is our email. That is, again, outdoor life and liberty, all spelled out, one word, at gmail.com. There you can post your predictions for 2025. You can write us and tell us like what you want to see, what you're tired of seeing, suggestions on how we can improve the format, or suggestions on why we should shut everything down. We've gotten a couple of those. Sorry. I think those were from Democrats. At least I hope they were. But anything that's on your mind that you want to ask us, tell us, suggestions for gear reviews, anything that you would like to hear us talking about as a topic, guest who you would like us to have on. We are going to be doing a Zoom guest interview in the month of January. So shoot us your information. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, follow us, like us, all those things, because if we're going to continue this, we can use all the help we can get. So that's going to wrap it up for us here at Outdoor Life and Liberty. I am your host. My name is Michael. I was really glad that you could join us. I wish you and your family a blessed and truly happy New Year at this point forward. And let's hope that everything remains intact and we still have a country come January 20th, 2025, because at that point, hope springs anew. So thank you once again. I'll remind everybody that this is going to be something we try to put out a couple times a week. So check back and see when our next episode is going to be. Until then, we hope you enjoy a great new year, and we'll get back on track with our normal programming and gearing review starting next week.